Oh no! Can you guys hear me? Dustin's muted. Can you guys hear me? Okay.
Am I there now?
Oh, there we go. Oh.
All right, sweet. What's up, guys? We're back. Another episode back in the office, and coming back from a really big event up in New York, the Falcon One Project that we were so honored to be a part of. Of course, got my boy Nick with us, and then Ryan StClair. He was a big portion of that project.
Yeah.
And, so we want to talk today about big jobs, right? That's the goal for this conversation. Mm-hmm. So we brought in the person that was brought into that project to really run things, to break it all down, get a group of people together and make a big project go. But before we get into that, Ryan, you want to kind of introduce yourself for those of you, probably the few that don't know who you are, maybe give a brief introduction, and then we'll just start chatting it up.
Yeah, I'm Ryan StClair, owner of JR Express Detailing. We're based in just outside of Houston, Texas. We've been detailing, running this company for close to 10 years now. We also do auto, but we've really made a name for aviation industry and our aviation, our detailing needs. That's where we've made a name at.
Yeah, and you really have. I remember a few years ago, we brought you down to our shop and let you train our detailers up on aviation. And we were really focused on mobile back then. We pulled off of doing mobile, and it looks like we're going to be going back mobile pretty soon. So we've got some cool things that are going to be coming up, and you had a piece of that. So, awesome and very appreciative of that. Nick, now I know that you weren't on the show last week, but you saw some of the project.
What's it going to take to get an invite over there? Jeez Louise.
I know, man. I felt so bad. We had you coming in just virtually, and then we vetoed that.
No, that's okay. No, it looked like an awesome project. You know what I mean? You guys put in a ton of work. I think that's the hardest part to capture is the sweat equity that goes into a project like that, any big jobs.
Absolutely.
And, you got to give Ryan his props. You're putting working on something like that, those big jobs, those big planes. I don't have a lot of experience with it, but I think a lot of people are going to gain a lot from learning from him.
Yeah, it's a league all on its own, typical detailing. But so let's start out. Just want to talk briefly about the project itself. For those of you that didn't see what was going on, it's a big plane. Ryan, kind of talk us through your concept, your mindset going into that. I know we did the training the evening before to get detailers up to speed. Tell us kind of how that went in your opinion, and then going into the project.
Yeah, honestly, it started with Glenn and Tracy. To be honest with you, they really stepped up to play. I had to give a huge shout out to them because what they did, none of us would have been there. And then for them to be, include all detailers and get the right people there to help organize this. I came on board because, a lot of people don't do big jets like this. So having my expertise on how to split people up and how we should do this. And, we had, I think Tracy said the other day, we had 24 members there working on the aircraft. So that's a lot of moving pieces.
Look like ants moving around the plane. That's crazy.
And so, this is an actual flying plane. So, D. Davis, he did a great job with his safety.
Absolutely.
He helped me out a lot. I think it really takes a village to run a project of that magnitude, especially with how many people we had.
Yeah.
You guys would have had one of those little live cameras, just do like that and see everybody moving through the whole process. That would have been wild.
I'm sure Chris has probably got some shots of everybody going to town. Yeah. From the drone or something that he wasn't supposed to be flying in the hangar. We found that out like 2 days after we'd been flying it.
Yeah. I meant to mention that too, because we were shooting video 4 years ago and the guy was like, I want to do drone footage. I was like, I don't know if that's going to work. Cause as soon as you get above a certain, latitude on at an airport, they flag it.
It's getting shot down. That's not
makes
good.
sense, right? So listen, the project was great. It was awesome. You guys did a fantastic job. I was happy to be a little small part of it, but Detail Bookie rolled up and did some podcasts and then jumped in hands-on. But that's not the point of the show. Just wanted to give its shout out, right? It was such a big event. Super excited. Happy to be a part of it. Nick, you will be there next year. I promise you, in person. I know people that know people,
Yeah. I'll be a plus one. Just throw me in the back.
You're not going to be a plus one. You're going to be a polisher.
Put me to work. Put me to work.
Put you to work.
Yeah, there we go.
There was his team was going.
Oh, my team was getting down, baby.
It was.
There was a little ego, like which team was working the hardest. Was there a little competition going on there?
There's no competition. I won.
There's gotta be.
I don't compete.
He said to me, Ryan, where do you want my team at? They will work.
I got workers. I know how to feed the team. See, I'm used to it though. I got all these detailers out here. I've been doing that for years. Like that, to me, that is organizing and getting people together, and that's what we're going to talk about. That's what we did there at the show. I was going to mention though, I'm sure there'd be a couple, the ones that got stuck polishing underneath the wing for like day one, the whole day.
Their arms up.
Nick,
the whole time.
I know that you'll have a spot to fill.
Yeah, man.
There will be no shortage of that.
Yeah, that's how you. That's your entry fee. You have to polish under a wing.
Get me on the underbelly. It's all good. We will pay our dues.
Right. Exactly. No. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about big jobs. Right. That was a big job. A lot goes into it. I mean, and we've all done different sorts of big jobs. Let's speak to a detailer that maybe has a large boat or a large camper or a plane on schedule that's not used to doing that. Ryan, kind of what's your approach to something like that? What is your take on it? We'll kind of pass the mic around a little bit and talk about how, our experiences and how we typically take on a project like that.
So honestly, in my industry or in the aviation industry is completely different. Communication is number one with the owner, or like for me, it's the chief pilot or the director of maintenance. It's completely different. So when we're doing these big jobs, these are corporate jets more than likely. So we have to plan for their downtime. We have to plan for their scheduling purposes. So sometimes, they'll break it into sections because so how we try to schedule it is when they have planned maintenance. So for 2 weeks or a week, that's when we come in and we do our ceramic coating or our paint correction. That's when we try to schedule it, because at the end of the day, these guys are flying to meetings to make money, close deals, or they're chartered. They don't have time to be down for 2 weeks. If I say like, hey, this job, I'm doing a Gulfstream 650. Okay, well, 2-man crew, I have to bring other people in. You're probably looking at a week and a half job. Well, Ryan, I don't have time to do that. The owners, I have board members. Okay, so now you're in a spot. So now we have to break this into sections. No one wants to do that.
So scheduling in itself is a job, right? You got to catch it while the plane's got planned downtime usually. Communicating that to the owner or to the manager, whoever is in control of that schedule. And then, so getting that dialed in. And then you mentioned I think it's just you and your wife that work for the company, and then you bring in some help if needed.
Yeah, absolutely. So we keep, it's mainly me and my wife. We try to do as much as possible, but sometimes the job will be too big. Like we have a job coming up that's going to be huge at the end of the month, and a couple more after that. We keep at least 4 detailers here locally. There's one out of state, but I'll have them come in and help me out with the job.
Yeah, I mean, you got to bring in extra help. So like to the detailer that's sitting around, he's got this big job. He doesn't go hire full-time and doesn't need to hire full-time employees necessarily to do a job. Bringing other detailers in on a project like that is a thing that you should probably do, because now if you go out and hire 3 or 4 guys, you've got to have enough work to keep them on board. You don't want to go hire some people. And then you got training aspect of it and all that stuff.
Absolutely. And we've tried that. And I just figured to get guys that I've trained before through our training classes, or people that have been around me for the last, 8 years, and they know how to operate. I'd like to get them know. And especially if I know them personally, I know that they'll have my best interest when they're working on that aircraft.
Absolutely. Nick, what about your experience?
I got a quick question for Ryan though. Now,
go ahead.
I haven't done. Do you have like a little black book of like these guys that you can sort of count on? If
the
there's
black
a big
book.
job?
That's not a good book. Yeah,
that's the blacklist.
No.
That you just know who you can go to. But I was gonna say, like, you can't tease us. Like, what, you got a big job? Can you talk about it? What's something like that look like? Like these planes.
The planes. I mean, I can kind of go into it, but not really.
Okay.
I'll just say it's kind of like a government job, but that's
okay. That's
like,
awesome.
Yeah. No. So you go in, you got help. Obviously, probably meeting with these guys, these other detailers that are going to help you, right? Just like we did in this big project. Meeting with them, communicating to that team. Here are the areas that you're going to work in, dividing it up. So you don't just go in there and say, everybody figure out where you want to be. Like, you got to have a plan.
An organization, because here's my thing. You show up to a job site, the customer's paying X, Y, and Z, don't show up looking like a slouch and you never done your first job before.
Right.
You want to have tables, you want to have, cords. My big thing, I hate extension cords. I don't like everything being pulled this way, that way.
Sure.
I want organization. Look the part.
That's right.
For a big job, look the part. Look like you've done it before.
Absolutely. So I kind of thrown it to you, Nick. As far as that goes, have you ever brought in any other detailers to help you doing any?
I think that's a really cool sort of concept that I'm trying to think back, and I don't think we've ever done anything outside of our our employees,
your team.
Our team there.
I'm trying to think if we have. I feel like there might have been a boat a few years ago that we brought in a team down in Orange. It may have been Drake and his guys.
How many feet are we talking? How are we talking?
Over 100. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Like,
wow.
Yeah. Anything. Yeah. I mean, we were doing 60s and 70s with 2 or 4 man crew, like Ryan. I mean, generally speaking, he don't have 25 detailers no matter what. Like, and that's the thing I got with these detailers need to know. Like, I mean, unless you have a day to do a 140 foot, yacht or a large jet, then you don't have to, you got some time and you take how long it's going to take you, with the team, with the small team, divide it up into chunks, have goals for each day. This is a big thing for me. So when we got a big project going on, first thing we want to do is we want to divide that project up into bite-sized pieces, daily chunks, right? Yeah. And then we're gonna have checkpoints that where we're at. So that gauges if we're on track or not. Even with my team at Falcon One, I set alarms on my phone and I said, okay, we want to be at this stage in this thing by this time. And when that alarm clock goes off, I know to check this area. That tells me that tells me how long this job's going to take if we're making these chunks in X amount of time. So that's a big thing for us.
And back on that just real quick. And every project is different. So you want to plan for the things that don't go right.
The unexpected.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Give yourself a little bit of a window there. But unfortunately, I don't get to do these 100-foot boats and these huge government CIA planes and whatnot. So for me, a large job, you know what I mean? It's like we're knocking out right now, the fire department. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry, it's a little bit smaller, but it's a mobile job. We're going to their site.
It's still a big job.
Yeah, they've got a fleet of, I think, 15 trucks, ambulances. We're detailing them all out.
Sure.
And it's still something. It's almost like it scales down, even let's say it's someone just starting out their business and maybe they got their first customer that wants 3 ceramic
multiple vehicles,
right?
Absolutely.
So it's taking all those things that we're saying on these 100-foot boats or big planes and then using it for your business and being like, I got to schedule this accordingly. I got to give myself a cushion. I got to charge accordingly. You know what I mean? So it's like taking that and then using it for each specific business and business model there. Because I think it sort of plays into it, similarly.
So if we think about step one, big project, whether it's a fleet, whether it's a multi-vehicles for your first time doing multi-vehicles, or a jumbo jet or a yacht. Okay, you got to understand what's needed, right? Get you a plan. Here's what all I have to do. Yeah. And then establish how much time it should take you. And if that's more time than they have to offer, do I need to bring in more help? So if I can do this boat by myself or with my normal crew, and in the time allotted, I'm not bringing in extra help. We're going to do it. We're going to use the time. If I have time on schedule, that's what we're going to do. Now, if it becomes a time crunch, we bring in more help, or we have to work different hours to get this job done.
Yeah, there's a happy balance with that too. And there was something I was going to say too. I always tell my aviation customers the worst case scenario. So if I quote 2 weeks, I'm like, guys, my thing is it may take me 2 weeks. That's worst case scenario, but my goal is to get this done as fast and as efficient.
Absolutely.
And quality is good, but I'm not going to rush it to make sure you're done. I'm just telling you worst case scenario.
Yeah. We do this same thing. I mean, very similar. We kind of have an idea. This is where we can't go past. This is our deadline. And then we try to, every day that we exceed that by, I mean, we all know that's money in the bank,
Yeah.
And the more people you have to bring in as a business owner, it's like, okay, now it's cutting into my profit margins of how much the business is going to make as well. So that's something that you also got to think about too.
Yeah, let's talk about. Oh, go ahead. Let
me flip it real quick. I got a question for Ryan there. For someone starting out, or let's say they're just doing, cars and not necessarily the bigger jobs, chasing the bigger job. I kind of want to bring that topic up and being like, hey, going for the whale.
How do you get that? Yeah. How do you start to get that?
How do you get it? Is it worth it? When do you know when you're ready to go for that?
When you get experience, honestly, those bigger jobs, I'll start with the last part first because that kind of leads to, but the bigger jobs, you need experience. Like you're not just going to come to a training or jump into your first jumbo jet. And, you're going to be like lost and you're going to be overwhelmed. You're probably going to get stressed out. Your quality's going to drop a little bit. And you're like, oh, well, I could have done that a little better. I'm guilty. I've done it before.
Absolutely.
But then, but yeah, I mean, it just can be overwhelming.
What are your thoughts, Dustin? How do you know when to chase that 100-foot yacht there?
Experience takes you in that. But listen, you're never really – all right, I'm going to be honest with you. You're never really ready for it when you get it. So because there's always a first, right? You always have a first. And so even if you've done a 50, doing 100's a different animal. And so you're going to get there. And like Ron said, he's done it. He's gotten there, and you feel overwhelmed. I always tell the detailers, and this is a saying that like I always liked because it was so true. When they're detailing something very, very big like that, is don't look down. And it's not a height thing, but it's a this way thing, right? Yeah. When you're polishing and you're moving 2 feet at a time, do not look that way on how far you got to go. No. But headphones are your best friend, Put the headphones in and go to work. And just and then you start to move down the plane, the boat, the fire truck, the whatever that is that you have a chunk to do. And the next thing you know, it's lunchtime and you've moved, 30 or 40 feet or whatever that distance is. So, that's something that we leaned heavy on. But you're never going to it doesn't come up in 2 foot increments and then next thing you know you're doing 100-footers. It's always there's a jump at some point.
Yeah, I think that mindset's really hard because again, any detailer, right? Let's say you've got cars that you're trying to pump out, right? So you're there trying to get some of these cars done. Could be a PPF job, ceramic job, whatever it is. You've got that schedule and you work at a certain pace, but it's almost like that pace has to get shifted down a couple notches when you do have these larger jobs to keep that level of quality there.
Quality, absolutely.
Nick, to follow up on the first part of that question, real quick. Bigger jobs, they're great paying jobs. Everybody loves this big price number. But at the end of the day, those jobs take so much more of your time. I'd rather do 5 single engine
absolutely
a week compared to having something that's going to take up 2 weeks, and then I have to worry about keeping my business doesn't just stop for one job.
I was going to say absolutely. Like the mobile side of our business has become our large job part of our business. You know what I mean? We are just outsourcing that, and again, when that scales and we need to add another mobile unit, then that's fine. But it doesn't necessarily affect the core business model as these. You can't let the big jobs be the core business.
No, that's right. So I mentioned us coming off the road a few years ago, and I was worried that losing that income was going to truly affect operations. And what we did when we brought everybody under one roof, we realized we can do, 20, 25-foot boats out of my shop a week.
Yeah.
Okay. And make, be more profitable, be more efficient. My guys are here. My guys and girls are here in-house. They're not staying in a hotel every night. They're not dodging rain because they're in a controlled environment. Like there's so many positives to that. And here we are about to go back on the road as I'm saying how terrible it was. No, but, so having a core, the small jobs you shouldn't be ashamed of, man. Doing the big jobs are great for a feather in the cap kind of thing. But at the bottom of a P&L, the little jobs are you can make great money at it.
Bills and big jobs help you save money and put money in the savings account for the business.
That's right. That's right. So let's talk about materials, right? So everybody's like, okay, I can. I'm kind of to that point. I can feel like I can do a big job. How do you go about figuring out what all you need? Pads, polishes, towels. I mean, I know experience carries you so far, but you have to plan that stuff, right? You're not just winging that either.
No, sometimes just wing it. Be all right.
Hope it works.
No. All that has to be. I know. Again, it does kind of take experience to know, but the system that you're using. Like we use IGL coatings, we use their compounds. We know how far we can get with each product. Bigger the job, the more pads you'll need, the more cleaning stuff that you'll need. So that's something that, I want to have more of, not too much, too less of something.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's
prepared.
Yeah. And there's expense in having to go pick up something on the road. By the way, that's a big thing for us, on the road. When our guys left, we would load up our transits here at the shop. And if they ever got somewhere and then needed something, that was always a nightmare because somebody, either somebody there from that job or from the office has to go take them something. And that's big time money. So you kind of take, say I'm a detailer doing a small job. I've got this big job. I'm normally doing 20-foot boats. I've got a 40-foot boat to do, right? You have an understanding of what it takes you to do the 20-foot. It's not just to multiply it by 2, right? There's going to be some waste. There's going to be some other things involved. So you really need to kind of look at that and then factor in a little bit of waste. You factor in a little bit of extra stuff that you're not, that to cover yourself, especially if it's mobile. And chances are these big things are not driving down the road. These big things are where they stay.
They're not coming to you.
No, they're not landing a jumbo jet at Easy Inn.
What I was going to say is sort of putting that process in place. Again, it's a once a month inventory. If you got something big coming, you're going to order a little bit more. You know what I mean? Right. And then when that day comes, you're going to bring extra. You're going to bring extra tile. You're going to bring extra of everything. And like you said, not just ×2, but ×3, just to make sure that my biggest pet peeve, right, is if, oh man, I'm on the road, they forget to bring something for the mobile job. I'm like, you got your checklist, you got your stuff. Make sure you're bringing it with you. You know what I mean? Like that's my number one pet peeve with that stuff.
We used to do this little trick with my guys, and I would say go through the job, talk yourself through the job, from the wash to the polish to the seal or to the coating, and load the tools like as you're doing the job in your head, and you say it out loud. Okay, so we're going to wash the boat. We're going to need deck brushes. We're going to need soap. We're going to need buckets. We're going to need drying towels. We're going to okay, that's the wash, right? Covered that. All right, now we're going to the polishing. We're going to need the polishers. We're going to need pads. We're going to need cleaning. And then we would walk our way through the job out loud as we were loading the vans, and that's how we made sure that we had everything loaded for that specific job.
Cool.
Yeah. Rehearsal.
Yeah. So, I mean, these things help, but for the detailer that's fighting their own battle, because let me tell you, if you bring in help, all right, you got help and you're paying them either by the hour or by the job, and you run out of stuff for them to use, materials or tools or whatever, the project's stopping. Everybody's losing money.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
All right, so we talk about chemicals, and we want to talk about, like, how do you know what to charge? We don't want to say, like, we're not trying to dial down to the penny what you charge, but, like, some of the factors that go into what you charge. How do you wrap your head around that?
First, I go to detailbookie.com and look for the StClair method for the aircraft section, and that will give you the pricing. But I mean, strictly on my side, not trying to dive too much into it, but it's priced on the size of the aircraft is what I.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the only thing I was going to say is, like, again, making sure that if it's a bigger job, you're there deciding, man, am I charging a premium because, man, that you're thinking about that check at the end of the job, man, or am I discounting it? You know what I mean?
To just get it. Yeah.
Just to get it, right? You're like, man, am I in a bidding war? You know what I mean? Are they going to choose me? And that's going to come with time and experience and confidence, and say, hey, look, I know what I'm worth. You know what I mean? And charging accordingly.
That's right.
But that's a tough thing for a lot of people starting out, is trying to figure out, man, I could undercut everybody. You know what I mean? But then are you undercutting yourself?
Yeah. And 9 times out of 10 you are. Oh, go ahead, Ryan. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to talk over you.
No, you're good. Sorry.
9 times out of 10, they're cutting their price to try to get the job. Now, there's value in getting it for your marketing purposes. However, like that's the long game, and you better have money in the checking account to cover the bills if you're saying we're going to do this thing strictly for marketing, right? Yeah. There's no difference in you putting $5,000 on a Facebook ad than if you're willing to go lose $5,000 on a plane that you've never done just for the marketing. So think about that when you say, oh, it's just going to look good on Instagram, or it's just going to look good for me on Facebook. Like, you better have the cash in the bank to cover the bills and stuff. If you're going to undercut everybody just to go get the job, right? You need to be prepared for that. Charging premium, you got to put yourself in the owner's shoes. How much is it worth to them? What's the value? What are you increasing? When you think about, a large vessel or a plane, they have known expenses. Like, they know that they're going to have to spend X amount of dollars on a repaint. They know that they're going to have to spend X amount of dollars. Can we create a gap between what we do and what they know they're going to have to spend? Can we put a little gap in there by charging them a piece of money in the meantime, right? And that's what we're trying to do, is create a gap in those big expenditures by what we do, and by enhancing and protecting a little bit, give this thing a little bit more life before they have to go spend big money on regel coat or repaint.
And it's sort of giving them value without putting your service in the value bin. You know what I mean?
Right.
Give the person value, but don't go and toss it in the clearance pile. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
And one thing I always stress too, when you're doing these big jobs or when you're pricing these big jobs, I don't want these guys to be one-time customers. If they have this big of a jet who says that they want to go get another one or upgrade, so I want lifetime customers. I don't want to just cash in one time. I want to cash in multiple times too.
I love
That's
that.
you can count for too.
No, that's something that these guys need to hear. As you're trying to build confidence in your customer, you're trying to build a lifetime customer out of this, and it's not a one hit wonder. So by treating them fair, understand, and the only way you can do this, guys, is understanding your cost. This is something that we didn't get to say when priced, but understanding the cost of it, understanding how much chemicals do I plan on using, how many chemicals do I plan on using, or how much. What's my consumables? What's my labor going to be? My downtime at the shop. What if I'm shutting my shop down for a week to go do this job? Yeah. What am I losing there? I need to understand that, that aspect of it too.
Yeah. You have to price for downtime as a business owner. Like what I'm trying to say is I'm not just looking out for my aircraft. I'm also got to look out for my best interest too.
Absolutely.
Now, because that's cash flow. Because that big job, like I said earlier, the small jobs at the shop keep the lights on, or aircraft keep the bills going, keeping my truck filled up with gas. Now I have to do this big job.
What I was going to say is that there's also that balancing act of trying to figure out the expectations of the customer. I know you guys talked about it a little bit, but it's like trying to figure out, hey, is it a lifetime customer or is it a one-time customer, right? Is it someone that's just trying to get the lowest bid, right? There's customers like that, and then that's trying to figure that out.
If they're selling, what if they're selling and they're just, hey man, look it better, make it look better.
Yeah. And I don't think there's any big jobs that don't come with big headaches.
That can't be overstated enough. Usually it never fails. Some portion of the job is going to make you step back and pull your hair out. Like literally, I mean, there's you do.
Small headaches, big jobs, big headaches.
Big headaches, and it's being able to digest that and understand that and work through. There's so much value in just like if you're on that big job and you get in that moment, it's to just keep moving. If you get stuck on something, go around to somewhere else where you know that you can do and just keep moving. And then what happens usually when you're eating lunch or in the shower that night, you kind of figure out, oh shit, you know what? I didn't try this, or maybe this is, maybe I should try this. You go back fresh the next morning and boom, it works. If you stay there on that spot or in that side of the boat that's just not reacting, or side of the plane that's not reacting like the rest of the boat has, and you stay there and you got your team just sitting back waiting on you to come up with the test spot that works. Okay, that's a lot of money spent and you're really pulling your hair out. Yeah. If it looks like it's going to kick back, go ahead and move around. Be willing to adjust a little bit. Go work on something else while you figure that out, or think about it, that evening or at lunch or something.
Yeah, change of scenery will free
them. Big time.
It really does.
Yeah, we used to run from the sun. So we would always start. I mean, literally. So on a boat, you have the sunny side always. Except like dead noon, and then you just want to go sit in the cabin with the owner or something. But like literally, we would run from the sun, and the sun sets on or rises on one side. We'd work on that side. When the sun came around, we go to the other side, and we'd work in. We were always working in the shade. We tried to. So that's always little things. These little things that you can do to just help yourself.
Yeah. Do you guys have any big headaches that's just like you think big job? Something
Ryan's my big headache.
I was last week.
Anything for the viewers to be like, man, don't do this. Learn from our mistakes. Anything that you guys just like, man, I think of a big job. I remember this happened and it was just a total pain in the butt. First, Ryan. What
bigger job? If you're ceramic coating, high spots.
Yeah.
That is the biggest thing. And you're doing like a black jet. And you're doing a thing, like you really have to like use 4 towels because there's no going back once you get on the wing and you're looking down the fuselage. You're like, oh shit, that's or crap.
Oh, you're good. No, you're good here.
That's one thing is you really just got to work in sections. I mean,
you have a black jet that you're thinking of that you did and it happened and it was like, oh my God, you know what I mean? You learn from it, but it happened.
Yeah. I got stressed out about high spots when I'm ceramic coating.
Yeah.
Ours were always the brow like of a sport fish. Like, so they have the brows like what looks like the windshield, but it's usually fiberglass or gel coat. I'm sorry, that goes around and it catches all the sun. Right, so it's always in the worst shape. And you suction cup on there. So you have suction cups because it's straight up. I mean, like, and you can put ropes over and harnesses, and we typically did. But you put suction cups, and that's where you hung your polisher and you put your feet, right? And so you polish this thing and sand it and polish it and get it all right, and then get down, look at it from the side, and it looks like you didn't even touch it. And you're like, oh, and you spent, a day up there, and you're like, holy shit, what happened?
Yeah.
And so, like, those were those moments that's the pull your hair out moment. Like, because you've spent a day doing what you thought would work, and that makes you want to.
You wanted it to look great, and you're just
you expect it to. You expect it to, right? You're like, dude,
I
did a spot
with the customer. He's like, wait, did you guys hit that spot? Did you?
Oh man, that's terrible. That's terrible.
Yeah.
And you get on boats like a Carver that has terrible gel coat anyway. And anybody that's in marine detailing already knows, like, there's specific boats, Sailfish, Carver. These boats just have terrible gel coat, right?
Yeah.
And it will make you want to pull your hair out. So yes, there are moments.
Yeah.
What about you? What have you done that you?
Again, I don't have anything super crazy, but I just remember when we first started with the mobile. We went to a customer's house, and we were doing a couple cars, and good customer, and he pulls up with this trailer, and I'm talking like, this thing is freaking long. It's just a big white. I think it was like half for cars, half it was like huge camper, and it was 5:00. And again, we're up here up north. We don't have long days like you guys down there. So we got clouds coming in, we got rain coming, and he wants this trailer done. And again, the inexperience of the timing, right? I just remember that day. I was like, I called the shop. I'm like, hey, I need 3 more guys here now. What I mean? Shop's busy. We're rocking and rolling. And I'm like, okay, great. 6:00 hits. It's dark. We bring lights, and we're there scrubbing this trailer. It's all white, and it was caked, and that was probably the worst experience ever.
I actually do have a really good one too, like a very specific. I'll never forget this. The customer had a black truck, a boat, like a 30-foot boat, and he had like a 50-foot toy hauler, black.
It had to be a 50-foot toy hauler.
Yeah, man. Okay, and so our job was to polish and coat this trailer, and I probably would say that was our biggest job to that point, right?
Yeah,
and it was black. And we get the job, we price it, hey, here's what it's going to cost. Get on the job, and we realize it's got overspray all over it. So we're like, we'll just clay bar it. Well, when we clay bar it, you're inevitably marring it. So now instead of just a normal quick polish and coat, we're actually compounding single stage paint, being extremely careful, trying to get the marring out. And we polish it out, and then on a car hauler, you don't have brakes like you do on a car, like changes in contour. It's all these big 4x8 flat panels. And so we're coating it, and it looks great. It's in the shade. Like we're backed into our shop. It looks excellent.
Good in the shade,
dude. We would pull it out, and it would look like Rainbow City. I'm like, oh my god. Pull it back in, polish the coating off, and do it again. I promise you, we kept that toy hauler here for 2 weeks. And every day we would go on that. And I'm like, holy shit, if I ever get this job out of here, I don't ever want to see it again. So, yes, that was the nightmare moment. I still think about that.
That is the feeling we try to avoid. Anything else that you can think of, Ryan, that gives you that just gut punch?
Yeah, being
Falcon
30
one.
feet up in the air, and you're running a compound, and you're just running doing the tail of an aircraft, and you forget a little section like
that's
crazy. Yeah, man. So listen, let's sum it up. To do a big job, right? So we've talked a lot about the money. Okay, there's a lot of good, the notoriety, the feather in the cap, the cash. There's a lot of goods. The bads, the unexpected, the added stress, the could be lack of profits at the end of it. So there's a lot of good. There's a lot of bad. I think overall it's planning. It's understanding what you're capable of. I'm not saying not try to exceed that, but just understanding what and then trying to bring other people in like Ryan does, bring other people in that bring skill sets that can help you tackle a big project, knowing your cost, knowing your timeline, and then just going after it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I can agree on that even more. But at the end of the day, I think communication is number one. I mean, if you're going to do big jobs, communication and what you want your team to do, how you communicate with the owner and get these jobs done. I think that's what you start with.
And when you're pushing that limit and you're talking with the owner, right? That's the part of like, hey, I need a little extra time, or sometimes just being super transparent with
being transparent. That's it. Yep.
You want this big job done, and you want us to do it. We're gonna do a great job for you. We need a little leeway. We need a little this. You know what I mean? If they're not understanding, then understanding when.
And being quick to communicate that. Don't wait till the day that it's supposed to be done and tell them you're halfway done. Right? Yeah. Like a day in if what you said is going to be true. You really do. And if you don't, then you need to be figuring that out, because you don't want to, tell the guy he's supposed to splash the boat, or he's supposed to be, taking some customers, out on his plane, and you're halfway through it, like, come on, dude. Communication, and also there's a level of professionalism when you're dealing with people that own things this big. Even fleets, okay? You're dealing with city officials, you're dealing with maybe the mayor, whoever you're dealing with on those things. It's a level of professionalism, and you don't run up there like, you want to be a piece of humble but a piece of confident, right? You don't want to say, oh man,
there's a line.
Yeah. And so you dance that line with them. And then, like, Nick said it best, I think, being transparent about the whole process. And if it is your biggest job, it's not, you shouldn't be ashamed to say that. Say, hey, here's what I've done. This is how I know that I can do this, but this is my biggest one to date. And so I'm probably going to face some adversity in the middle of it, but just know that I'm here to make this right and make sure that it's done right.
Yeah. I love it, fellas.
Awesome. Well, shit, I feel like I'm ready to go do a big job. Chris is telling me we got some comments. Let's see what we got. D Davis, love you guys. We love you too, D. He was a rock star, man. He helped you out a ton, didn't he, Ryan?
Oh, dude.
Do you see the little picture there? That's the Falcon One in there, right?
Yeah.
Detail kick. That sums up D Davis right there.
It really does, man.
Is that everybody at the end of it? Is everyone just jumping for joy at the end of it?
No, I crawled out. I ran out of that hangar. Oh, Tyler Gillespie. Let's go, boys. Happy Friday. Absolutely. Cinco de Mayo. I think we need to say that.
Some tacos.
Man, we're cooking hamburger meat out in front of the shop. We got tacos going on. We even got margaritas for the customers. So, we do it right here.
Man, you guys do it right down there.
We do it right.
Customer of Easy M down there.
Come on. Sean Kozier, what's up, buddy? What's up? We'll see you at STC. He messaged me the other night. He's coming to STC. Looking forward to seeing him there. So, anyways, man, great show. Ryan, appreciate you coming on, brother. I've been trying to get you on. His schedule never works with mine. I've been begging him for
big jobs.
Oh, is that it? Okay. Yeah, we'll go with that.
I've been trying to get him on this show for 2 years, man, and he just keeps shooting me down. And
I want to wait until you get more followers. But no.
Right. I had to check with his PR guy and make sure.
He's got a whole team over there.
Yeah, he does. No, man, appreciate you always as a friend coming on the show, your support, and happy to rub elbows with you anytime you get a big project like that. We're happy to jump in there.
I gotta get some training. I want to learn how to do some planes here. You're right, the guy, man.
We'll have a training here pretty soon, and we'd love to have y'all there.
That'd be fun.
Awesome, man. Let's do it. Hey, listen, appreciate you guys always. Nick, great show, brother. Thank you. And we're gonna go ahead and jump off.
See you, fellas.
See y'all.
Have a good one.